the closest thing that would come to us being raised was free range chicken. I used to pass by a place, it was called District Hospital. There was a morgue there. Nowadays it's called the Sub-County Hospital. Now that morgue that I was passing, I remember like I had to like, it used to be on a steep slope, so I had to hold my breath for about 25 seconds until I passed that area because the morgue used to smell.
What gives me comfort and what gives me hope, and this is not just a Mennonite thing, it's things that are written in the Bible, and we believe what God has written in the Bible, that there are two kingdoms, heaven and hell, after this life. I think about it, I think that, oh, I don't want you to die.
Yeah,
I don't want to die right now either. I don't want to leave him.
yeah.
You know, that sort of thing. So I don't know why I'm crying, but...
Oh, so don't cry, sorry. Yeah.
So, but anyways,
Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
One family, one spark, one child for our plan. We go together hand in hand. For our plan. Love like that can move the land. Through every storm, through every plan. We shine, we rise. For our plan. For our plan. For our plan.
My name is Marcellus, my wife's name is Charity, and our son's name is Dos. Welcome back to the Far Out Clan. Thank you guys for your support. Today we are wrapping up with this series on our differences and evaluating the life of a child right from inception or conception.
conception.
From conception all the way to adulthood and parenthood, and today we're ending with death
Yes.
and the afterlife. So, are you ready to begin?
Sure.
But first, I want to take this opportunity to thank our audience. You've been really supportive, watching our videos. I mean, you've developed. We see the interest in you. I mean, the interest for more videos about us, and thank you for all the nice comments. But just this evening, we've decided that we as a family are going to be posting videos moving forward without comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you really wanted the comments, and I really fought for the comments, but I definitely see the reason why we should get rid of the comments.
Yeah.
And not because we also benefit from the comments, because we are getting ideas for videos and
do.
what you guys really want, because we are making these videos for you guys. But in that space where everybody has a chance to comment, you get a few characters that take the opportunity. I don't know what is wrong with some people. Maybe they are sadistic, they were not raised right, they have terrible experiences, they're just...
Or maybe they just troll everyone.
Oh yeah, they're just
You know,
trolls.
I don't
right?
know.
So,
But it does do kind of put a damper on, like, I don't know, just like the enthusiasm to produce, even if there's one mean or unkind comment.
yeah.
So,
But-
and I know that's just life. Like,
Yeah.
not everyone is going to be positive or encouraging, but it just
Yeah.
seems like if we just turn off the comments, that
Yeah.
will also, free up some space for.
yeah, it would definitely give us a nicer atmosphere for us to retreat back to our normal lives.
Yeah.
Because behind us how should I say? Well, you also believe that. Behind me, there is you.
Yeah.
Behind you, there is baby. Behind
Yeah.
the baby, or behind us, there is like family.
Right.
There's our own private community.
Yeah.
Okay, and it really took a lot to convince you to appear in these videos. You did not really want
Yeah.
it, and
Well, and mostly my biggest drawback
Yeah.
was the comments
yeah,
and the concern of like safety and for our child.
exactly.
And so, yeah, I mean, it just, if the comments turn kind of,
Yeah.
even if few are negative, I don't know, it just seems wise to maybe stop before it gets worse
Oh,
or
yeah.
something like that. I
Defi-
don't know. Just to kind of protect our own like privacy and our own sanity or well-being. Or, yeah.
Exactly. But everybody, I mean, we've got a ton
have,
of support.
we have.
Everybody has been
Yeah.
really good, and we are so happy that we get to make videos
Yeah.
and share it with you guys, and we've actually seen the impact it's having from the comments that we
Yeah.
had, from the positive feedback that we
Yeah.
got, and yeah, that's
So
it.
just know, if you did a positive comment, we saw it, we appreciate it, thank you. So,
Moving on.
Moving
Let's
on.
Yeah, so let's talk about now. This child has matured, okay?
Yeah.
They've gotten married. Now they have their own children. Let's talk about parenting. So, what's the difference between the style of parenting where I come from in my culture and where you come from,
Yeah.
which is a Mennonite culture, but you also know the American culture of
Yeah.
raising kids. Oh man, you're killing 3 birds with 1 stone.
We are, yeah.
So, do you want to start or should I start?
You can start this
Okay. So, this is how we grew up. This is how our parents let us grow up. I'll say if we are to make comparison, the closest thing that would come to us being raised was free-range chicken.
time. Free range chicken.
Yeah. So I don't have a lot of pictures, but I definitely have this one picture that is in the intro. I remember there was a time we were not, I mean, that was not the best of times, but I came from campus and I found this one pictures from our album. You know, growing up in Africa, we did not have a lot of entertainment. We did have entertainment, but now the culture in our village was, because we did have tapes, but then they were expensive, or you had to exchange it with somebody else. Then DVDs came, so we had to a certain degree entertainment, right? But the culture that had crystallized in our village and in our setting was, if a guest comes to your house, you'd have pictures, a photo album.
Oh,
Okay.
that was your entertainment.
You'll
sort of.
give them the photo album for them to see and such.
okay.
So we used to have photo albums.
Uh-huh.
And my dad used to come once in a while. He'd tell us we are having a photographer coming, a
Oh.
paparazzi.
A paparazzi.
No, a photographer is the right term. Coming, and he used to ride a bicycle all the way from Kitale town with him. Then they'd come home, and it used to be like a fun fair, okay? And sometimes we would dress well. Sometimes he would come just impromptu with a camera, randomly, and it used to be the old school cameras where they'll crank it. I don't remember clearly, but then they'll take the picture, and then do something. It used to be the film cameras. Then the camera guy would leave with the camera and whatever was inside, and it would take about 2 months.
Before
for
you
them
actually
to
got
produce
pictures.
the pictures. Okay, I don't know how much that has changed, because nowadays we seem to be going back with technology still, because photographers nowadays will take your picture and they'll take forever editing.
Yeah, I know, editing.
The pictures. Yeah, so I even remember there was a time, I think it was a Polaroid or something. There was a time a photographer came and they took a picture of us, and it immediately generated like a photograph,
you can,
black
you
and
can
white.
still get those.
Yeah, I remember there was a time, but yeah, I think once that happened. So I come from campus one evening we had moved from Kitale to Nakuru, and I find pictures scattered from an album, and I took this one picture that I put in my
so
file.
bad you would have gotten more.
I took this picture that I had in
only
one
have
file.
that
I
one.
also wish, I mean, I don't know where those pictures went. I don't know.
Oh.
And
You
yeah,
only have one album of pictures.
there used to be maybe one. Yeah, it used to be one green tall one. But I do understand my sisters also in there. I'll ask them. They took some pictures with
I
them
would
too.
really wish that we would have more.
Exactly.
just one.
So this picture that I took, it's as I mentioned in the intro, like shows how we were, like barefooted with torn shirts, and we were just running in the dust, going swimming, going with our friends, playing football, what you guys call soccer, and that was it. So in the morning, let me describe how schooling was. Because we'd wake up, man, it used to be like, I dreamt of a day when I didn't have to wake up early in the morning.
Maybe
Then-
that's when we retire.
Sorry, yeah, maybe. So we'd wake up in the morning, get dressed. If there's tea, we'd drink tea, but mostly we did not have tea. So we'd get dressed, and then if my mom had paid we call them boda guys, the guy who used to take us to school with a motorcycle or bicycle, then we'd go with that. If she had fallen behind on the payment, then we'd walk to school.
How far was that?
I'm not really sure, because when we were young, the distance seemed really big. I was there some time back, and the distances didn't seem
Wasn't
as
so
big.
bad.
But I definitely do know from where I went to a lot of schools, but the recent two schools that primary school that I went to, one was called Mary Immaculate in Kitale, and I used to have a mountain bike, which my dad had bought years prior, and he had bought for my sister, but it was also his bike, because he bought a mountain bike, and a mountain bike was kind of like an upgrade from the other big bicycle, which
yeah.
we used to call Black Mamba. You know the big
I
bicycle?
think I've seen a black mamba.
So
yeah.
he bought a mountain bike, and I remember the day it was brought home, and I remember me riding that bike.
The
and
mountain
The
bike?
mountain bike. It was yellow and a bit of blue. It was called Tech Team.
Oh.
Tech Team. Oh man, that bicycle. So I used to ride that mountain bike from our home all the way to Mary Immaculate. Now that was really far. I don't know exactly what the distance
Well,
is,
how
but
long did it take you to ride the bike?
probably an hour to school.
So an hour of pedaling, but you were young, so you probably couldn't pedal so
But
fast.
if I tend to think, let me try to think in kilometers, then I could get it right. That would have been probably 10 to 15 kilometers.
So maybe 5 to 8 miles or something
Yeah.
like that.
Then
That's really
in
far.
the school which I graduated primary school from, that used to be around 10 kilometers, if I'm not wrong.
Oh.
10 kilometers. So, but then if this bike would, bicycles then, and how rugged things were, and how it used to have tubes, and that tube was full of punctures and full of patched up punctures.
Was it flat?
No, you can't ride it with it flat. It's even harder than walking. So this is what happened. Growing up in Africa, there's no culture of you training yourself or to fix your own things. Like the way here, if my bike breaks down, or if a kid's bike breaks down, they'll take it to the garage, the dad will fix it, or the kid will fix it, will patch up the puncture.
Yeah.
But in Africa, you don't do that. So there used to be these specialized guys who used to adore, okay? There used to be these guys who would fix punctures in town. And
Yeah.
then walking this bike, pushing it, because you can't ride it, pushing this bike all the way to Kitale town to fix it used to be an immense undertaking. Okay? So anyway, So that is how I used to go to school.
But you
we
you
used
had
to
to
go to
be
school.
really self-motivated as a small child, because from what I remember, you said your mom didn't really necessarily wake you up and get you dressed and
Yep.
get you on the road to
Yep.
school. You had to kind of wake up, do your thing.
Yeah, and if you said, "Hey, mom, I'm sick," you'll be like, "Oh, just sleep, don't go today." You would stay home for a week if you want. So that's how we grew up. But yeah,
Would you say that is a typical Kenyan culture of children growing up, or was that more specifically like maybe how your parents
what I know,
were?
definitely all the kids did
Just-
went to school in the morning. Most kids, in fact, I guarantee you, were walking. And right now, I think people have started these businesses of cropped up people, these buses and vans. But I guarantee you, there's still kids who walk to school.
But I mean, as far as like your mom being more like lean about like
Lenient.
Lenient.
So my dad was so strict, but because he used to be transferred to different places,
yeah, you said.
he wasn't home, let's say 80% of the time.
Okay.
And I really don't know, because my mom, but I think it was just self-motivation. I get it now. If you miss school, you'll be in trouble.
At school,
At
you'll be in
school,
trouble.
yeah, you'll be killed.
Oh, so she
The
kind of
class teacher
depended
would-
on the school to get you
exactly.
motivated.
And no, I don't think she even depended. She did not really, frankly, she did not really care.
But she
I'm not
knew
saying
that
in a
you-
bad
no,
way.
no,
I
that
think
was
she was
more
a
of how she
very
was.
loving. She's a very loving
Yeah, she
mom,
is.
and she really wanted to please us in the best way she can.
Yeah.
So in school there used to be something called registers. So they'll call every morning, Marcella's present, Kevin, sir, yes sir, Mark.
Oh, no
Then the
mark.
class teacher will write absent. So if you come to school without like if you miss school and they notice you miss school, then you'll be in deep trouble. And in Kenya there is caning, like you'd be caned thoroughly. So that kept
Oh, so
kept
you don't
us
want to
in
be
check.
caned thoroughly for every day you miss. so-
Exactly. So that was the life before I went to boarding school. And I just remembered a really cool memory.
What's that?
So there was a time my mom went to shop in a certain supermarket. It's called Ketias. We call it, it was called a supermarket ya Muindi, which means an Indian supermarket. And not Indian, red Indian, like an Indians from Asia.
Yeah.
It's called Ketias. And after doing that, you know, there used to be those promotions where they give you, oh, you can win something, we'll put it in a draw and then you can win something. You know what she won? Take a guess. I've never told you this story before.
What did she win?
She
Maybe
won-
chocolate.
No! She won a tuk-tuk. Do you know what a tuk-tuk
You
is?
did tell me that the little machine thing that you can. Yeah, I know what a tuk
with,
tuk
with
is.
3 wheels.
It's like a glorified three-wheeler.
3-wheeler.
Yeah, it has like
That
a
one.
roof and a little. Because I remember you told me you would drive it to go
Yeah.
water the trees or
Yeah,
plant
exactly.
trees or
I told you that.
something.
Now, I never told you how we got that thing.
She won it.
She won it in a draw in
Oh,
Ketias
my.
after buying
I bet
stuff
she
in the
was so
supermarket there.
impressed.
Yeah, so it was drove home,
Uh-huh.
and it used to just lie home. Nobody was driving it
Well, you could have taken it to school.
till to date she can't drive a vehicle. She's like, I can't drive a vehicle.
Oh.
Okay, so what I did, one day, like, I just got petrol, put it inside, then went, tried to crank it. And at that time, I taught myself, because from the motorbike that we were going to school with, if I had money, I'll give the motorcycle guy. Once in a while, if I had some bit of money in my pocket, I'll give them to them, and they'll show me how to ride it.
Oh, for
until
real?
I got really good, and I knew that trick. Okay, so I'd give them like 50 shillings, and they'll be like, they'll let me drive it all the way home. So I got really good
like
at
you sat in
riding
front of
a
them and you
motorcycle.
drove- Oh my goodness.
Exactly, and that was a very young age. Nobody was doing this thing. Motorcycles were still very new in
How did
Kenya.
How did you figure that out?
Because I used to ride bicycles from a very young age. Remember, then not everybody had bicycles.
Oh, so you kind of had an edge on that.
So
with
I
the
developed
bicycle.
this thing about, and I was
Yeah.
also, I don't know if it's cheekiness or what, like I used to believe. Remember when I told you I wanted to become a military general?
Yeah.
I used to believe I can do anything from a very young age. And now I've been watching like Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie called Commando, where it's like he's driving like a plane, landing a plane in water, and doing all this kind of things. So I also want to like conquer these things. So I learned how to ride a tuk-tuk, and outside our compound there used to be this big space. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we moved to Bilimani at that space, the rest of that space used to be bush. Uninhabited. But then over time people bought land, and then all the bush disappeared. So that place, there used to be a big space, and that was where I was riding the tuk-tuk. So I'd let it go on free, then put the first gear, then let the clutch go, then it would jack forward, then ride it around the space. It was a big space. So the only danger really was if I freak out and couldn't stop it, or if I took a sharp corner, then
tip it over.
which was, I mean, it was just too easy to learn. So over time, I started, and this is class 7. And now after, I didn't like school. Now I was in boarding school. After school season was done, we had maybe probably 3 weeks to a month home of holiday. But then the school administration would want us to go back for tuition, and for some reason that did not make
what?
sense. Tuition, extra tuition, we called it tuition.
What is that?
So
Like summer school.
no, you've closed school. Is it summer school? I don't know. You've closed school, you have 3 weeks home, then the school insists that your parents have to pay extra money, then you go back to school for another 2 weeks.
So you would
You
only have 1 week
at
off.
home. So I'd refuse, and I created problems and refused. And I said the only way that I would do this, I don't know what was happening. The only way I'd do this, I would commute from home. So those 2 weeks of tuition, I used to drive the tuk-tuk
You
to school.
did?
And let me not get into that. It wasn't legal. Okay, so I used to drive the tuk-tuk to school.
Why? Because you were too young?
There's a tuk-tuk there. Why should I walk 10 kilometers?
No, I mean, why was it illegal? Because you were too
Yeah,
young?
because you have to have a license and all that thing. So
So overall, the sense I'm getting is that you had pretty much complete freedom. Besides maybe like not wanting to be
Definitely.
caned at school, so you got up and went to school. But like in your the 1 week you were at home, what did you do? Did your mom like plan activities for you, or you were just kind of?
so we used to have cattle,
Oh yeah, you had cattle.
and when the time we'd be at home, my mom would we would go herd cattle.
So you were just out kind of roaming around with the cows.
Yeah, roaming around with the cows, and I used to have doves. I used to have
Oh yeah, pigeons. I remember that.
And yeah, there was a lot of things to do. I mean, just roaming around, going.
But you weren't really monitored.
Not monitored. In fact, during the later stages before I finished primary school, I remember like we were my parents were my mom was in difficult financial position, and I think we had even sold all the cows.
Oh.
By the time we were going to campus, I was going to high school. Sorry, we had sold all the cows.
Oh.
Yeah.
So then you
And-
didn't have those to herd
yeah,
anymore.
and sometimes like the electric people will cut our electricity. We would have electricity. So what I'd do, I'd go to movies. I'd walk down to like it was called Shimolatewa Center. My dad used to hate those places because it was said that that's where gangs live, and it
so
used
it
to be
didn't
like
feel like safe.
yeah, it wasn't. But to me, it was perfectly safe. But he was an old school guy, and he did not want us to go to movies. Movies used to be now because people did not have electricity. People did
Yeah.
not have movies. So the bright people thought it was a brilliant idea to start movies or cinemas. So you'll have a room that could park, let's say, 25 people, 25 people, a mud room, and then in the center, and then you'd close the door, then put movies, and then these movies would be DJ'd. You know what I mean by DJ?
Yeah.
Because most people would still not understand English, especially the people who never went to school. Because
I
school is
see.
compulsory, but some people, their
Yeah.
parents can't really even afford it.
Yeah.
Can't. Oh, they just don't want to go. Remember what I told you? Remember what I've said about like it's free range.
Yeah.
So if you don't have, there are those kids who be like hardcore truants who refuse to go to school. So there are people who've gone to school who haven't. There are kids who haven't gone to school.
So they don't know
and now they're
English.
like 10, 15, 20 years
Yeah.
old. No English, they can't understand English. So movies, and I'd want to think, the reason why I'm confident to say it was a lot of people, because these movies would be DJ'd, there's a person talking in Swahili. The most prominent one was called DJ Afro. It was actually a new thing.
Oh.
He'd speak in Swahili and narrate the video, okay? Like for example, it's a Bruce Lee movie, and it's like, Bruce Lee, I mean, people are talking, and now he'd also exaggerate it. He's like, in Swahili now, Bruce Lee has come, and now he's taking the RPG Krobosta, which is like an RPG grenade, and then exaggerating with Krobosta. Krobosta is not even a term or anything, okay? Or some started even doing it in Kikuyu. And this DJ Afro was also Kikuyu. So he'll narrate in Swahili and then bring in Kikuyu inside it and do
But
it.
that's
And then,
kind of a lot
and
of-
then,
that's
let's say, for
impressive.
example, if it was a movie with the United States of American president, he'd narrate it and twist it and then say, and then use now the president of Kenya. Let's
Oh
say, for
my
example,
goodness.
if the president of Kenya was like Mwai Kibaki. And then he's like, he's received, and it's in Kiswahili and Kikuyu, he's received orders from the top office, Mzee Mwai Kibaki. And this is Kikuyu, and so if you understand it, you'll be like, you're able to tell he's not saying the truth, but then it will be even funnier, okay?
Oh.
So for me,
it was entertaining for you
so
in a lot
enterta-
of levels.
So entertaining. So my peers wouldn't like DJ Afro because they felt like he wasn't communicating what the movie is
But
about.
you thought it
But
was
for me,
funny
it was
to
like, oh
compare."
man, I mean the narration was super, okay? So,
That's funny.
so I want to say most kids will be free range, because for someone to narrate, to make a living out of DJing English movies, he definitely knows the people who don't know English, and his movies are being watched in studio. Who is paying money to watch videos in studios? They're teenagers. Why are these teenagers not? Why don't they know English? They don't go
They
to
haven't
school.
gone to school.
Why don't they go to school? Because the parents don't care.
Or maybe they don't have money.
But there would be public school education was free.
Oh.
Okay, but it was made free, I think, in 2002, if I'm not, yeah, in 2002.
Oh.
2002 was a long time. Like I was
Yeah.
like, so it's not because, yes, there was, the quality of education was not as good, because we also went to public schools when I was young, younger, before we went to private schools, when my mom insisted we go to private school. But and we learned, I remember I learning my English there. So I'd want to tend to think that was the majority of kids in Kenya were free range, growing up. But now with the influence of, with how information is disseminated with smartphones and internet, there's adoption of Western culture, and now parents are starting to become helicopterish around their kids. Okay, so it's not as free range as it used to be. Also, the culture is changing. The feel of community is not there anymore. The feel of villages is not there
I
anymore.
was going to say, it has to also be a safe, like a very safe community environment for you to feel comfortable to let your children just like roam around.
Exactly.
Like here, I would be paranoid that somebody would take somebody.
Somebody would steal the baby here?
Yeah.
Why would they steal a baby here? People,
They just, there's kidnappers, like I don't know what they want
For
to do with,
ransom?
maybe, or they use them for other things. I don't know what exactly their purpose is, but like I would just, that would be very concerning and on the top of my mind. Like I would
Yeah.
never just let him roam around or like not know where he is.
yeah. So anyway, but if you go into those deep remote areas,
Yeah.
you'll still find the same life that we grew up
Yeah.
in. Yeah, that was it. Tell
That's
us
good.
about Tell us about
My childhood
yeah,
or
growing
growing
how
up.
your parents how raised you. I don't know why that story still keeps on playing in my mind, where Leroy, your oldest brother, was playing in the mud, I think naked, and the bishop, the Amish bishop, ran to your mom. I mean, came to see your mom, and he was like, "What are you doing? The English are gonna see the baby naked."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Tell us about.
Yeah, I was just thinking while you were talking, like, why can we not have like more of a free range thing? But I think, like growing up, for one thing, like it wasn't really safe. Like my older brother lived maybe a quarter a mile away from us.
Yeah.
But even then, there was like a bridge, and there was a place in that part of the road that you couldn't see
Where would that be?
in
There.
Missouri.
Oh, he grew up in Missouri too.
Who?
Your oldest brother, Leroy.
No, this was one of my next older brothers.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
he was married and lived up the road.
Okay.
But my mom wouldn't want me to walk up there by myself, even there, because as long as you, what she always says, as long as you can see a house, you could run for help.
Yeah.
So I think that was instilled in me early on, like that you always want to be with somebody because it's not really safe.
Yeah.
And we did have a few occasions where, like, my brother next to me, he would ride his bicycle to school. It was 3 miles.
Yeah.
And then for a while, there was a pickup that would just follow him after school, like follow him every day. And then, like, I mean, that's creepy.
Yeah.
So then my mom quit, like, she would just take him to school. So I would say, I'm trying to decide, is it good? How much, like, helicoptering should a parent do?
Yeah.
Because I feel like my mom was, like, how I was parented, I would say we had maybe a little more freedom than I would say some of the parents use now. Like, but she was, my parents were also very, like, my mom was very structured. Like, we went to bed, we took a bath, went to bed. She always made sure we had breakfast, lunch, and supper, and she made sure we went to school. But she was kind of a little off the cuff too, like, so she would take me to school, pick me up, and if I wasn't, school let out at 3:30, and if I always wanted to kind of loiter around, and talk to my friends, and if I wasn't out of the school door at 3:30, she would just leave. Then I had to find a way home, but that only happened twice. I was so embarrassed. I was like out the door at 3:30 then. So yeah, but like we lived on a farm. Our farm was 120 acres. It was a dairy farm, and but I was always with my mom, or I would run up to the shop and be with my dad. But I would pester my dad with so many questions. He would say, "Why don't you just go back to the house and ask your mom all of that stuff?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I would say the parenting I received was a structured parenting.
Yeah.
My mom always knew where I was. I always had to let her know, like, if I was going somewhere, the older I got, if I could drive, where I was going, what I was going to do, like, that was just expected.
Yeah.
And I would probably not have roamed around. My older siblings probably did more because there were more of them. They would go down and swim in the pond all day, but we had to do chores. Like, we always had to do our chores in the morning, and then if we did a good job and we got those done, then we were allowed to go play in the afternoon. That was more how it was set up.
Nice. So you guys had a structure.
I would say, in comparison to the free-range chickens, because that's what you called it, I would say parenting is more structured. Like, there's, like, so you get up at a certain, well, my mom was always pretty lenient about letting us sleep in.
Yeah.
But we would get up.
Yeah.
We'd have to go to school, then we'd come home, I'd have chores to do, like I'd help with canning, or she always left me a list of things to do if she wasn't at home. And then in the summer we also, it was a very, very good childhood. Now, I do sometimes look at how parenting is done now in our communities, and I feel like but but give me grace because this is our first child.
Yeah.
I've been around a lot of children my whole life. My first niece was born when I was 3. I've always been around children and babies. I've always loved them. I've always helped take care of them.
Yeah.
I've seen all my siblings' parents. So I have a little idea of how it should look, but I've not actually had a child to
But
parent.
you're really good at it. I see the way like
Oh, well,
at,
thank
at,
you.
At 8 he has to be in bed and already showered and
So part of
nice
that
and-
is things that I've read and that
Yeah.
I've been told and I understand is that children, if they feel safe,
yeah.
children feel safe in a structure
Uh-huh.
and a routine. So if at 7:30, I feed him dinner, he has a bath, we do our little ritual, he looks
Yeah.
at the alpaca, we say goodnight to the alpaca on the shelf.
Yeah.
He loves it. It's a little furry alpaca.
Yeah.
Then he has on clean pajamas. We tuck him into his bed and he has his bottle and then he goes to sleep. So then when he can wake up in the morning, he feels, like it's psychology. Like when I had to do psychology in school, like that was one thing, like children thrive on that's how they feel safe. They can't verbalize or they can't tell you if they feel unsafe, but to have a routine, he always looks at all the lights and all the things in our room to make sure everything is right. Then he closes his eyes, but he feels safe because he's in the same
structure.
routine and the structure. So that's part of the reason why I do that, because it psychologically it helps them to feel safe. So now, as they grow old, as he gets older, like some things we've talked about is we really want him to be friendly.
Yeah.
We really want him to be, if a person says hello to him, we want him to say hello back. We don't want him to be rude.
Definitely.
That's a huge thing that we
Yeah,
both
yeah,
care about.
yeah.
I want him to be respectful. Like I want him to not, I want him to learn to obey and to be respectful. I think things have swayed some too. Like longer ago, it was more about caning and spanking, and I will just say, like, I feel that once in a while, a little spanking within reason,
Yeah.
not cruelly, not aggressively, and with making sure that it's not too hard for a child, but maybe if a child you've repeatedly, no, you can't, and they just don't listen,
Yeah.
like 1 or 2 swats, they usually get it.
So
But if you're continually spanking or caning
Yeah.
someone, it just puts fear in them. It doesn't really register. I don't feel with them that, no, this is naughty. I don't want you to do this. It's more like I'm going to not do that because I am terrified
Yeah.
of being caned for skipping school.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
makes a lot of sense, and I actually think there was a research I read a long time ago where it was comparing kids from Africa who are grew up in a low class, if I might say, and kids who grew up in a posh higher class who are not exposed to the caning and everything. These kids who are not exposed to the caning and everything tend to be more confident when they grow up and express themselves, rather than the kids who are caned, who tend to be afraid and timid and wouldn't even express themselves. They are always fearful of a lot of things. You're
But
right.
I do think
Yeah.
the other spectrum we want to be careful about, I
Yeah.
feel like, is that more of, can I say this, like more of an American tendency right now is
Yeah.
that the child is the boss of the parent.
Definitely.
And I feel like when I see that,
Yeah.
that isn't really a beautiful child they're creating
Yeah.
or helping to develop the child. The child is disrespectful, they do what they want, they throw tantrums, which I'm not, children are children. There's a reason why children have parents, because they're still learning. But I do feel like it's really important that there is a distinction. This is the child, I'm the parent. I will love him forever with all my heart, but
Yeah.
he will still have to be respectful.
Yeah.
He will have to learn to obey.
Yeah.
Like those things. And so I feel like that was things that I was taught well from
Yeah.
my parents, that they were the parents, I was the child, and I still had to listen.
Yeah.
There, you know, it doesn't always have to be beatings and canings to
Yeah.
get your point across or to help a child understand.
So one of the thing is, before I forget,
Yeah.
where you have, I don't know how we could put it, where you have kids interrupting conversations and kids feeling so like they are the center of the attention. You see, when we grew up, we were taught. We were taught never to interrupt older people when they speak. I mean, never to throw things at people when they ask you for something. You would go hand.
Oh yeah, I
to
remember
them,
you got in
okay?
trouble for
Yeah,
pitching
wha-
something at
to
your
my
dad.
Yeah, exactly. So here, one of the biggest culture shock that I found
Yeah,
is
that's
like
right.
you'd be talking to an adult and their kid is around there, and clearly no like emergency or something, and the kid would come interrupt. Okay, will come interrupt like seriously, and it doesn't happen once. If you're talking to a parent whose kid is there, almost certainly you're going to be interrupted. Then the parents have already been conditioned to the point that if you're talking to them, they'll abruptly get what should I say?
Well, like
get
derailed
distracted,
or
derailed,
yeah.
and like, where's my kid? Where's my kid? Until they see their kid, okay? Or even when their kid comes, they'll abruptly end the conversation and attend to the kid,
Yeah.
then come until to the point like, oh man, I already forgot. We'll talk next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So-
do know that was pretty like shocking to you, and I think that is something we both talked about that we would really want for him to know, like to be respectful of adults, and if they're talking, to just quietly stand beside us until you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we can always pause the conversation, but to be continually interrupted, I think, is not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that sounds unrealistic, but I guess that's something, some ideals we have while we still have a small child.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's good. I think learning to be respectful of adults is also a very big thing,
Yeah.
you know, especially older people too. Like just being respectful. That was one thing that, because I was the youngest, I was kind of like an only child because I was 7 years behind.
Yeah.
So my mom was a little older. I mean, now it doesn't seem very old. She's
Yeah.
like 46 when I was born. But we would do a lot of things with older people. She would clean houses for older people. There was an older lady in town, not a Mennonite, just a lady that we cleaned for, and she was like my adoptive grandmother because I didn't know any of my grandmothers, and I would often stay at her house.
Yeah.
And she, oh, there's a couple little tiny memories. She would allow me to boil the hot dogs on her little stove, and we never really ate hot dogs much. And the other thing she would always have is bread and butter pickles. They were kind of sweet. My mom would only can sour, like vinegary pickles.
Yeah.
I would eat so many hot dogs and so many bread and butter pickles. Whenever I see them, I can still just feel being in her kitchen.
But
with-
how didn't you get sick? I remember the reunion that we had. I
No,
ate
so
of
many,
them.
as in like she would never make me more than 2.
Ah, okay.
No, I didn't eat 10 like
Okay.
you did. 10 is a little much.
Man.
So I would say that's kind of in a nutshell about the parenting. So I feel like we have good view. Like I think if we come together in the middle from
Yeah.
free range chicken to helicoptering and kind of try to merge in the middle, maybe
Yeah.
we can get a pretty well-rounded idea of how to
parent.
yeah. And you know, every child is different, so it varies too. But I think being a steady, I also think that if parents are cohesive, like me and you are always on the same page with
Yeah.
how it is, like he can't say, oh, I'm going to go ask dad, and you say something different.
Ah,
Knowing that you'll always say, oh, sure you can, and I will always say no, like knowing how to field the parents, like
Yeah.
I think that can also be a way to not have a solid parenting routine.
Good.
So I think if we always are on the same page, or at least pretend we are,
yeah, yeah.
then I think that's I think that will give a good solid foundation to him.
Good.
So yeah, that's kind of that. But we should maybe move on
Move on
before.
to something else. Okay.
Yeah. So I think we wanted to discuss a little bit about how it feels, like how it is to grow old in our respective cultures, communities.
Yeah. So I think I can go
Sure.
strike this
Yeah.
first. So, at least from when I can remember, you know, my father's mom, my grandmother from my father, there was a time she came to live with us in Kitale
Oh,
when I
really?
can remember.
That
but
was
then
your dad's
my
mom,
dad's
right?
mom. But I also can remember when my siblings would say before I was born they used to live with her. No,
Oh, they
not
did?
used to, no, not her. But I definitely do remember when she came to live with us when we moved to a different place in Kitale, and she was helpless.
Oh, she
Like
was.
she was like 80 something.
Ah.
She did not have any source of income. So
But where did she get that little bag of coins?
which my dad used to give it to her, and then she'd put it in a pouch and hang it on her neck and put it inside.
Then she'd go buy snacks and you
Yeah,
would-
yeah. Sometimes, I wouldn't mention that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, if you're older, you're allowed to
yeah.
do things.
So, but then she did not have any
So she was she would have
source
been
of income.
helpless
So it's
without your family.
helpless, which is the point. And she's not the only case.
Yeah.
I mean, so many Africans, I mean, when they get old, they don't have a plan. So their plan, it's actually something that has crystallized into something that is identified as black tax.
Okay.
So it starts with, and that is a very vicious phenomenon that I've observed. You know, I always talk of people appreciate generational wealth, regardless of our societies, both
They
our
do,
societies.
yeah.
But nobody, especially I don't know if your society appreciates generational poverty.
Well, probably not so
in
much.
my society, they people don't appreciate it, and it seems they haven't figured it out yet. So my biggest take is the greatest challenge that Africans need to fight is generational poverty. So in the sense that people have it skewed, they take verses from the Bible, which children are a gift from God.
Yes.
But then, even if they are gift from God, how would children eat hair? Hair? What am I saying? Would children eat air?
Oh, eat air.
Like oxygen,
Yeah.
hydrogen?
They
that?
can't live on nothing, in
Yeah,
other words.
so you can't just give birth to children blindly and you
Yeah.
have no means to
Yeah,
sustain
no,
them.
that's reasonable.
In fact, there's even a song which I like it, and it's educational. It's by a certain band called Sauti Sol. It goes like this: Nakuomba Nerea, usitoe mimba yangu, Mungu akileta mtoto analeta na sahani yake. It says, I beg you Nerea, don't abort my pregnancy, okay? When God brings a child, he brings his plate or their plate too.
Oh, so in other words, they come with provisions.
Which is good. I mean, don't.
Yeah, no,
Don't. I'm not in favor of abortion, okay?
No,
But then I'm
for
in
sure
favor
not.
of family planning.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to plan and see if a kid comes, how is the kid gonna be taken good care of, okay?
Yeah.
And I believe I'm of the school of thought that my Dosi here, right now I'm 30, okay? Dosi is like is 7 months old. When I'm 90 years old, if I get to that age, Dos would still be my child even if he is 70 years old.
Well, he'll be 60 then, but
Wait, oh, math, 60. Yes, so in Africa, parents would give birth to kids and justify it using that children are blessing. Now these kids would suffer, and I'm generalizing. I know there's a danger of a single story, but I'm just generalizing from my experiences and the experiences
okay.
of lots of people.
It's okay.
Sorry, I think you'll have to hold him now.
Come.
I think you'll have to hold him.
I will. He bumped
Yeah.
his nose on this.
But what I'm saying is, you see the way family, and I'm not saying wealth is a bad thing. Wealth is a good thing. I'm not against wealth. I'm not against capitalism, okay? So the way people would work hard and have extra that they give a head start for their kids, that's not a bad idea. I know you could say that, oh, kids would not be raised how to create on their own, and they'll be bratty and such. But even with the wealth that you give to your kids, you have to educate them on how to make more
Yeah.
and how to make use of that. Okay? So anyway, my point is, so Africans, at least what I knew, I don't know if I think the psychology is changing. So families would have a lot of kids, and parents would have a lot of kids, and there's actually a saying that says, your kids are your wealth. I don't know how true is that. But now the parents who depend on these kids, when they grow up, they'll provide for them. Okay? And now you find out that it's not everybody that is gonna succeed in life. Sometimes people will struggle financially up to their graves. Okay? Now, but then now when you have the black, I'm trying to explain black tax. Okay?
Yes, I understand.
Now, when you have the black tax, if you have a kid emerging from a family who is trying to figure their financial situation, but then on top of all the taxes, there's black tax waiting for them. So you find that they're always sending money, which money they would have used for their own benefit, and
or to maybe get them out of poverty. Yeah.
Okay? So
Yeah.
they keep on, by the time they realize, oh man, I've sent so much money through black tax, they're already like on their way out financially. Okay? And nobody really appreciates, not even investment, nobody appreciates, I mean, most people don't appreciate the value of saving. Now that
Well,
money
because
that
maybe they
they've
don't have
sent-
enough money to save.
No, but that money that they've sent,
Yeah.
they would have saved it.
I know, but then if they feel obligated to help their parent,
Yeah, now that's
then they don't have any to put in savings.
now that
then it just recycles
is
the
an
poverty.
external force.
Yeah.
Similar to, like, that's why it's called a black tax. You're obliged to give it, okay?
Yeah.
And where did it start? It starts with the parent. It started with the parent not chatting a way forward their financial. How will they succeed past retirement and such that they don't bring the burden to their kids. Okay, and I'm not only talking about like parents, uncles, sisters, brothers, cousins. Okay,
So there's just always an unending place for you to send money and not save it.
That's why black
then-
tax is a big thing.
So then it's almost like you would feel guilty putting
So-
money in savings.
So if you look at a country like Kenya, okay,
Yeah.
let me say, let's just check the Kenyan. Oh, it was actually 4 trillion, okay,
Yeah.
but then out of the 4 trillion, 650
Billion
billion
comes
was
from out
Kenyan
of-
remittances. Anyway, this money could be the Kenyan diaspora putting back money for their relatives to.
But basically what-
use them
yeah.
for their health, but we
But
don't know.
basically, that is what is happening in Kenya with
Yeah.
growing older doesn't sound appealing at all.
Exactly.
Because you have nothing. You can't work anymore. You're too old, so you
Yeah.
have no funds. You
Yeah.
don't have unless somebody takes care of you.
Yeah, but hey, I don't want to paint a bad picture of Kenya, okay?
No, but that's-
things
yeah.
are changing. There's information is flowing to people. People want to make their lives better,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm definitely sure there's still that problem of black tax
Yeah.
and generational poverty.
Yeah.
Okay, so growing old in Kenya would be
Without money
without
would be pretty
money
bad.
would be pretty bad
Yeah.
because you'll be left to the help of your kids, and if your kids are not well off financially, then
You're
you're
not well
both
off
screwed.
either.
You
Well,
see?
yeah, I can
And then the
kind of
cycle
understand
repeats
why
itself.
you're very focused on making sure that we're financially that we're headed in the right direction with our finances,
Yeah,
because I think
definitely.
you've seen a different end. I see that too
Yeah.
here. Like some people, like Not necessarily in the Mennonite community because we have kind of a safeguard on that. But like people I take care of in the hospital, I mean, some people are old and can't take care of themselves and they literally have no one.
But I believe
They do have Social Security, so that's always at
is
least
social
something.
security always enough?
No, I mean, no.
Not
it's
enough,
not,
because
no.
I've had people complain about
I mean-
about it. Even the people who are begging out there, the guy who we brought to help us with stuff, he calls it panhandling.
Yeah.
Like he said he gets social security, but it's not enough.
Well, I don't, unless you would own your house, you know,
Yeah.
and have some backup funds, then the Social Security helps a lot. But if you're just depending on Social Security, I don't think you can do very well, especially if you're trying to pay rent and
Yeah.
your utilities and stuff.
But I haven't seen Mennonites who are struggling.
So in the Mennonite
Old
culture,
age.
when you're older, we do take care of our own. We don't generally put them. Once in a great while, like if somebody has, let's say, Alzheimer's or dementia really bad, they might put them in, say, a nursing home
Yeah.
because it's very difficult to take care of that person maybe.
Yeah.
But I would say 99% of the time, we take care of our own people.
Who is we?
We, as in, for example, if my mom ever needed to,
Yeah.
would not be able to live by herself,
Yeah.
her children would either find a place for her to live with them or find a small property that would be manageable for her, but we would never put her in a nursing home.
What about the church?
Now, if you, in our church, like we have a few older people, the church does actually help them with money. So it is set up a little bit better to help provide for people who can't, especially older people who can't, who don't have. But I would say as a general rule, like people are pretty good about like looking forward and making sure, like my mom was really concerned about making sure that she has enough money to retire on, and she does. She worked very, very hard all her life.
So the thing, would you say that the values of a Mennonite Christian actually reflect on their financial status upon retirement? Would you say the values in the Mennonite community actually is responsible for the wealth that the Mennonites have?
Well, maybe, because like I feel like people feel very responsible about not being a burden on someone else.
What about, I mean, how people use money, how people
And how to be like
save?
stewards.
Yeah.
I think that Mennonites are pretty human. There's a very broad range of how people learn from their parents how
Yeah.
to do money, that sort of thing. But
Yeah. Hard work and that. all
But
that, yeah.
everybody, I would say pretty much everyone, we're taught how to work hard,
Yeah.
how to not be, he can eat the whole thing now, how to be more of a producer rather than a consumer, and in that way, we're called to be stewards of the property we're given, which means to manage it well too. So I think that would have a bearing on that sort of thing. So growing old in and of itself doesn't always look very nice, just because you get achy and creaky. But I do feel like in our communities we do make sure that everyone is taken care of. Like the gentleman who passed away last week,
Yeah.
they weren't able to live in their, like about how many years ago? Maybe 5 years ago, they were not really able to keep up with their property anymore,
yeah.
so they sold it, and they put a little trailer on his daughter's property, and
Yeah.
they have a very sweet little place to live, but it's their own place, but on their daughter's property, so they're well looked after.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that kind of covers it. But
Beautiful.
then,
I feel like I'm always painting a very bad picture of where I come
no,
from.
I don't think so. I think it's just that
Because-
it's the difference.
Yeah,
it's really
a
the
stark
difference.
difference. But then I really wanna prevent the danger of a single story. I'd say now that people have access to information, people are trying the best to to make their lives better, and you're seeing a lot of changes. Okay, you're seeing a lot of changes, but there's still a lot of struggle. But yeah, I just do not want to
Well,
be the,
no, and I
the
feel-
person painting the wrong.
Yeah, but I do
bad-
feel like
bad
some
picture.
of those things have made you into the person you are.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the having to get up for school,
Mm.
that's a motivational thing. I think it's probably personality too. But
Yeah.
now, I mean, I'm very impressed. You've started a business in a year and a half of living in a different country,
Yeah.
doing a completely different career than what you
Yeah.
you had gone to school for, and
Yeah.
you're very motivated in making that work. And also working on YouTube and stuff like that. So I feel like sometimes hardship also makes people gives people different gifts than say if you're always in a very cushy, easy life.
Yeah.
So I think that, I mean, it may sound like it was all terrible.
Yeah.
I don't really see it that way. I
Yeah.
see it that you didn't have as many things to work with, but then you also have better strengths in some things because of that.
Yeah. Good. That was awesome. Let's
Yeah.
go to the final part of this
Okay.
of this video, because you're gonna make it so long.
I know, it's terrible. We have a
Let's talk
problem.
about death and
Okay.
afterlife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that death and the afterlife is something that is not your favorite subject.
No, no, no. Where I come from, people fear death. People fear death to the ends of this world. I mean,
But
yeah.
why do people fear?
So the thing is, I'd address that with your culture. In your culture, everybody has been fortified to believe that there is life after death.
Yes.
And people want to live, most people in the Mennonite community want to live a righteous life, believing that there is the kingdom of heaven. And you guys in this community, I should
You
say
should
us,
you are now
we
part of
say,
it.
yeah, we say we do not belong to the kingdom of this world. We belong
Right.
to the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me in the comment section, and we're going to do a video on this, what is the approach, or how does the Mennonite community what's the take of the community on interracial marriages? And the answer I gave them was, we believe we are not of the kingdom of this world, regardless of anything. We belong to the kingdom of heaven, which there in heaven, nobody is going to say, hey, you are American, you're white, you're black, you're yellow, you're brown.
Well,
you're
and we also believe that God created everyone
equally
equal.
in the image.
in the image of God.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter what color you are or who you are, God has made you.
Yeah, so living that way, I mean, kind of like makes you learn or start to appreciate or envision or accept that indeed, when I'm off this world, I'm going to another world. So in fact, like the older guy who died, I don't want to mention his name, he was
Yeah.
a really good friend of mine. Like, he had cancer, okay? And he refused medication, refused everything. He just said, I want to die peacefully.
Yeah.
And he laid and waited for death, as if he was waiting for it, and he was like, I have nothing to fear, I'm going to another world. So you see, that is the difference. Where I come from, people believe in the afterlife, even in African traditional settings, but I don't know, like people just don't envision, people have not accepted it, okay? Then the way you see here, when somebody dies, everything is organized, like they're taken to the morgue and they're buried almost immediately, okay? So in Africa, you'd have people staying in morgues for even a month, while people are doing fundraising and doing all these things to pay hospital.
So to look at
hospital
that,
morgue
that doesn't
bills,
look, that
okay?
looks, yeah.
And when we were growing up, remember when I told
Yeah.
you I used to ride a bicycle from all the way from Shimolatewa to Mary Immaculate? It was a place called Section 6. So I used to pass by a place, it was called District Hospital. There was a morgue there. Nowadays it's called the Sub-County Hospital. Now that morgue that I was passing, I remember like I had to it used to be on a steep slope, so I had to hold my breath for about 25 seconds until I passed that area, because the morgue used to smell. Okay? And when I was coming back from school, because now it's hill climb, I know
Yeah.
I'll spend about 30 minutes on that hill climb or 20 minutes or so.
no.
So I'd go another route.
Oh, because
I'll
you
go
didn't want to
further
go
away
past
because
that.
I'm not gonna be late and I don't wanna pass by there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you see, then there was the first funeral I ever attended. This was my uncle from my mom's side.
Uh-huh.
My mom used to say like, when he sees me, he sees him, because
Oh,
we have the
you-
same
yeah.
temperament. Everything is the same. So when we went, we saw him in the casket, and he had two, I think, cotton in his nose or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
okay, I don't know.
probably.
Maybe he was bleeding or something.
No, it's just when you die, then your bodily fluids
And
come out.
I remember like they were spraying the flies. Okay, I didn't hear any. I didn't feel any stench, and he had a suit. Everything was clean, but you see the connection now of like spraying. And I remember actually my dad and my mom talk about how my grandfather from my mom's side died, and how he was buried, and how he stayed like for a long time without going to the morgue, and how that experience was terrible. Okay, so for a person like me, I don't really want to go to funerals. I don't want to eat in funerals. Okay, but you'd be surprised, in Kenyan funerals are usually a big event.
Yeah.
Someone says, I mean, if someone wants to make jokes about like, hey, be careful, don't die, they'll say like, hey, be careful, or else tomorrow we're gonna come eat githeri at your funeral. Remember, githeri is the food I swore never to
I
eat
know.
again. So if you're not well off, and people expect a lot of people are gonna come for the burial, and because if it's in a village, the whole village, everybody would come, because the motivation to begin with is food.
You're right.
They want to eat food. You see the way people here have abundance of food, nobody is motivated by food.
Yeah.
So in Kenya, like, food is a big thing.
Yeah.
Somebody hears like there's free food, they'll come all the way from Madras here to
For
eat
the free
free food. Okay, so and then it will be kind of like a celebration, jovial, but I can't really explain fully. There is the fear of death. Okay, and to some people, I want to believe there's other people. For me, I just don't like the experience that is associated with death. I mean, I don't like death because of the experiences I had. Okay, and up to now, like, if you see there's crisis, or somebody, like, group of people died in a car accident, I mean, in the internet you'll see pictures circulating where like these people will just go, they'll be thrown on a slab in the morgue, like one body on top of another. Okay, so there's not really, and it's not
There's not really dignity
everywhere.
with
There's
death.
dignity for the people who have money.
Oh, again, it's
and the
the
people
money
who
problem.
can at least afford. But for the people who can't afford, I mean, it's not the best of an experience. And maybe right now, because of technology, cheap Chinese stuff, you're having refrigeration, a nicer thing, maybe it's changing. But my experience with death and funerals is something I don't look
Yeah.
forward to. Okay, at least for now, that issue of like, oh, now I'm living well, I want to go, like, after dying, there's another kingdom waiting for me. Now that, you could say, that would start to condition me to accept death. But I still, you know, when you're raised with certain experiences, the experiences never leave. Okay?
Well, and I think to be fair, that God instilled in every human being
Yeah.
the motivation or the will to live.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that it takes away, it doesn't take away, like, I think my mom sometimes is fearful of death.
Yeah,
It doesn't take away all the fear,
Yeah.
but what changes is that you then have hope.
Uh-huh.
So for me, like, my dad passed away 6 years ago. That was really a hard thing
Oh,
for me.
sorry, yeah.
I miss him a lot. It's been exactly the 1st of September. It will be 6 years.
Yeah.
But what gives me comfort and what gives me hope, and this is not just a Mennonite thing, it's
Yeah.
things that are written in the Bible, and we believe what God has written in the Bible, that
Yeah.
there are two kingdoms, heaven and hell,
Yeah.
after this life.
Yeah.
And so the way you live your life and who you serve is where you go. So if
Yeah.
you've chosen to be on God's side,
Yeah.
and you live your life what He's instructed you to be,
Mm-hmm.
now you can have hope that there's more to this life than just
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we don't want to be, we understand as a human, we have a spirit.
Yeah.
Where does your spirit go to? We're not a dog or a cat,
Yeah. Yeah.
where we are buried and then we return, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So it is fearful because none of us have really understood. I think that's what my mom talks about, is that nobody's really experienced what happens when
After
you
death.
breathe your last breath. What is that transition part?
Yeah.
How will it look when you wake up and wherever you're going?
Yeah.
So I think to some degree there is always kind of trepidation or a little bit of uncertainty or fear about how that's going to feel, how that's going to be.
Yeah.
But then if you back that up and you return to the verses of hope and of seeing God and of seeing the people that you've lost. Like, I want to see my grandpa. I had a
Yeah.
very close relationship with him. I want to see my dad.
Yeah.
You know, and so some of that, I don't know, some of the fear is definitely, you know, diminished
Yeah.
because we have hope.
Yeah.
So, and I do know, like, one of my really good friends last year lost her little 6-year-old son. That is just like an unexplainable grief to
Oh,
a
yeah.
parent.
Yeah.
But the only way that you can, for me anyways, what I can see, if you have something bigger, there's a bigger picture than just here and me and this very moment, then you can start healing, you can start processing, you can start having hope that you're going to see that person again.
Oh.
And so then death in return does not become quite as terrifying anymore. I mean, I think about it. I think that, oh, I don't want you to die.
Yeah.
I don't want to die right now either. I don't want to leave him.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing. So I don't know why I'm crying, but
Oh, so don't cry. Sorry. Yeah.
so, but anyways,
Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
I think sorry, I didn't mean to go into that area, but
Okay.
I do think too there's a I work on a cancer floor in the hospital, and we do a lot of hospice end of life care.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
death has been a huge part of my of my career. And so I think that just seeing all the different angles of death and how people experience death and that sort of thing, like I am very grateful that I can have hope. You know, and what is the, to me it's just like, what have you lost? Like, what will you lose by believing in hope?
Yeah.
You know, either it's correct and that's where we will be, which we
Yeah.
believe that's true. If you don't believe and it is true,
Yeah.
you've lost.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. We're all gonna die.
There's no one exempt, that no one
Yeah.
is not going to leave this, no one is going to live forever.
Yeah.
We want to.
Yeah.
Life is good, but we can't.
Yeah.
And so we have to face the brutal reality that we are going to die.
Yeah.
There's something after this because we do have a spirit.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I find comfort in
And-
reading the Bible and knowing that there is
Yeah.
hope and something better than here. And we're
Yeah.
just passing through, as we say, we're passing through this life as strangers and pilgrims. We're
Yeah.
here as stewards of what the blessings God has given us,
Mm-hmm.
but we want to invest in the things that we can take with us,
Good.
which is our children.
Yeah, good. I'd say that point of view is really, it's thick, and I would implore people to reason that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, like from my culture, people will be like, they don't want to talk of death. People don't want to accept it, and once you accept it, then you plan about it. you make life easier for other people that you leave behind.
that's true.
I mean, I'm just talking about the cultural differences
Yeah.
and I mean the differences in that. But definitely, I mean, the point of reconnecting with the people who went before and our loved ones and yeah, that is really important. And sometimes I think of how like I'm so afraid of it. I mean, I don't like funerals, but I think
Yeah.
growing up and maturing, and now I'm starting to see it, because to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of death where I come
Yeah.
from. Like the only people who've died in my family was my uncle, who the first funeral I went to. Then my grandmother from my mom's side, I also went to that when I was still very young. Then my
What about your-
grandmother
your-
from my dad,
yeah.
which I did not attend that because I was somewhere else, and that is all. So I've only attended 2 funerals from people who were not even close. I mean, immediate, in close. I mean, both my grandmother were immediate to me, but we were very young. We did not even develop any relationship with them. Okay,
So it
because we
wasn't
did not-
really, you weren't really connected.
we did
and-
not live with them for very long. I mean, I lived with my grandmother from my mom's side, but we were not really, there wasn't really a connection or relationship, okay?
Oh.
So I haven't experienced that, but now that I'm in a community where this is happening, this is the second funeral we've gone to in probably a year, the third one, a third funeral in a community in a year, right?
I think so.
Yeah, there was like the boy called Justice. That was terrible. Who died in the ATV crash.
Yeah.
Then there was your niece's husband, Aunt Helen, and now
Oh,
you've
yeah.
got and now the what's his name?
Ernest.
Ernest,
Yeah.
the older guy, and that has been it. And I'm like, oh man, death is actually death is real, and how am I as a man? Then I definitely need to get over my experiences and my fear of death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really nice that I really appreciate in our communities is that, for example, when Ernest died
Yeah,
just recently,
yeah.
there were over 500 people at his funeral.
Yeah.
So the support of the communities, people
Yeah.
come from all over, and the Justice,
Yeah.
I think there were over 700 people at his
Yeah.
funeral. So the overwhelming support
Yeah.
from our communities is also a really huge thing in helping with,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe
The
even
burial arrangements.
yeah, and
the
just
family.
the comfort and
Yeah.
knowing that you're backed by so many people.
Yeah, one thing I'd also say that is a similarity in Kenya, people would start, it's called an arambe or kuchanga, which is donations. People will start donations and raise money for the bills and everything. People will come cook and say that is one.
That is kind of a similarity,
Yeah,
isn't
people
it?
come
Yeah.
together and people die, and they really support the bereaved family.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, in all African communities. So
And that is something like
Yeah.
sitting at the front of the service,
Yeah.
you know, with your person who's being buried
Yeah.
and turning around and seeing the mass of people behind you. That just
Yeah.
does something,
definitely.
you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, so that was
Yeah.
kind of our,
Yeah, what time is it? I think
I
we
feel
need
like
to
we've
go
talked
to,
really a long
we
time.
need to be in church. Are we gonna make it? It's 7:30. We need.
I think we've missed her.
We've missed it. Yeah, but anyway, he's also for some reasons I think he knows when we wanna end it.
Yeah, he's ready to be done now.
Okay.
You want to say goodbye to everyone? Oh
Say
my, your pants are
bye-bye.
falling off.
Night night.
Say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
He looks so
Bye-bye.
cute with those 2 teeth.
I know, his teeth are adorable.